Let's begin. So let's start with the most common misperception and work our way back out of it. The biggest misconception when dealing with this world is that everyone believes that everything that's happening is all about money. And basically, the motivation for money and greed is what really moves this world. People believe that everything that's going on in this world is all about a motive of accumulating more wealth. Again, that is a lie. Or maybe lie is the wrong word. It is a distraction that those with power want you to believe so you're not able to truly see what is driving and moving the world. Let's be clear. The reason why so many people are able to believe that money is the main motivation for all the systems being built up in this world is because money is the biggest motivation for themselves. Money is one of the first tools used when people are recruited into this system. And in the beginning, for most, money is what drives them. So they believe that the rest of the world is just like them. And guess what? That is probably true. But that is not the way the real world actually works. Do you know what the biggest fraternity in the world is? What organization consists of the most members in the world? That also contains most of what we deem as the rich and successful people in this world? From world leaders to business leaders to religious leaders, entertainment leaders, social activists, etc., etc. That fraternity is Freemasonry. Now, I will not get into what that is. I have made videos that cover these subjects. Many of them I may re-release so that this information is fresh and updated, just like with this video. I have made a video explaining Freemasonry if you do not understand it. Either way, the reason I have brought them up is not exposing this once secret society, but using one of their symbols to explain how the world really works. Because their beliefs are the underlying foundation of how this world system has been built. So using their symbolism, you should look at the world not as a division simply between the rich and the poor. That will never help you understand. You can't even divide it by the rich, the middle class, and the poor. This again is too small of thinking. You must view the world through their structure of a pyramid. This is a pyramid. The base is very large, and as you go up to the top, it gets smaller and smaller. If you were to fill it with people, you would see that at the base of the pyramid, you could fill it with the most people. And as you move up the pyramid, the amount of people in it gets smaller each level you go up. This is exactly how the world works, and you will not understand anything else unless you understand that. Now, after you understand that, as you go up different levels, you'll see that there are different motivators that move this world. When you get to the very top, it is easier to see that money is not even a thought, and it is at the top of the pyramid where all the decisions about this world are made. So let's go back to that point about money being the main motivator. This is a level of thinking that is at the bottom of the pyramid. That is because they are the ones without it, and therefore they believe that obtaining it will make their lives better. And so the majority at the base of this pyramid commit their lives to moving up to a higher level within this pyramid, thinking it's all about money. But let's just review these levels in the pyramid, because this is where so much of the confusion is. How most people want to look at this pyramid is that at the next level is where we have the enforcers of the system like the police, the IRS, etc. And then after that is wealth. But the levels do not move up because of positions or wealth. People move up in the pyramid by knowledge and initiation. Each level that moves up in this pyramid is about a person's level of initiation. And as a person gains in knowledge and is initiated in the ways of the world, they become one that holds its secrets. Though in the beginning the secrets are minimal. Understand, just because you see someone on television or they're an entertainer, it does not mean that they're at a high level in the pyramid. Just because they're throwing up hand signs does not mean that they're at a high level. The truth is that on the next level above us are those that have literally just sold out and are trying to get the attention or prove their loyalty to move up. And what comes with that is often more money and more access. That's why their level on the pyramid contains the second most amount of people. And for the most part, money and fame are the biggest motivations for them. But again, as you move up in the hierarchy in the pyramid, the amount of people in each level decreases, and along with money being their motivation. In school, we're taught that the President of the United States is a position that is at the top of the pyramid, but that is just not true. Maybe this was true when the position first began in the beginning of this American experiment, but more than likely not even then. But that certainly is not the truth of today. The truth is that being president doesn't even mean that you're at a high level in the pyramid. I want you to think about it. What do you even see a president do? They read speeches, they give interviews, They take photos with world leaders, but you never see them actually leading. You may see this in the movies, but you never see this in reality. You just see a position. What we see is a person who we believe has a high-level position. We see them reading speeches, giving prepared remarks, all behind a teleprompter. You think the press conferences are real? That they're answering questions that they're not already prepared to answer? No.
I'll take your questions, and as usual, folks, they gave me a list of the people I'm going to call on.
They know the questions that are going to be asked before they're asked. You think these leaders are in control, but they're not. They are not actually in control. It's an illusion. They are just at a higher level in the pyramid than the majority, and they are placed in the role as a figurehead that provides enough of a distraction that makes people believe that they are calling the shots and making the changes in the world. But they take their orders from those at the top of the pyramid, just like the other leaders in the rest of the world. When they carry out their orders, it just trickles down within the system for compliance. If you think the President of the United States is the most powerful person in the world, your reality is not real. The people actually pulling the strings, making the rules, are people you never know, that live behind the curtains. Very much like a producer of a news program or a television show. You know the actors, you know the news anchors, but you do not know who it is that's speaking to them in their earpiece, guiding what they want them to say or who to go to next, what to say, when to cut the feed. The people you are watching are not in control. They are script readers.
Catalina Marchant-Debreu is here in studio again this evening. Catalina, you're taking us back to the US election campaign. Kamala Harris is being accused of wearing an earpiece during that highly anticipated debate. Tell us more.
That's actually one of the many wild conspiracy theories to come out from Tuesday night's televised debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. These are rumors mainly promoted by prominent far-right accounts on X, on these posts that are seen millions of times on the platform, claiming busted, she's wearing earphone earrings. Users spreading these claims actually say that Kamala Harris was wearing what's called the Nova H1 audio earring, the first and only wireless earphones embedded in a pair of pearl earring on a gold or silver plated clip. So these users are also sharing this publicity photo of this earpiece right here, as you can see, very, very similar to the ones worn by the Democratic nominee during the latest presidential debate.
What I'm trying to explain is that the reality that people want to believe in, it's not real. It's an illusion to keep you sedated and not able to see the real puppet masters. It is an entire illusion made to keep those with power in power and those without power without it. And as long as they keep you trapped in their illusion, they will control you. It is very much like the movie The Matrix. I use this metaphor often. As long as your mind is trapped into their illusion, you are simply a pawn that can be used by them. They use their power grab of actual wealth and land accumulation to amass great power over the whole world. In the 19th century, they were already in control of the world. That's 200 years ago at least. This is the old money that has been passed down through the centuries. They used their power to build the world. They started the first multinational corporations that started employing the world. In reading David Rockefeller's memoir on page 243, under the topic Rockefellers in China, he speaks about his grandfather's company, Standard Oil, tapping into the China market in the early 20th century, and then later sending his money there to do his philanthropy, building China. This is what they did with the world. They built big businesses that gobbled up the control of the world and its natural resources, building these huge companies that built the world. During the 19th century, the general public knew of them, though they didn't have access to them. If you ever watched the movie Titanic, while they distracted you about the storyline with the ship sinking, they showed you the hierarchy.
Mr. Dawson is joining us from the third class.
How the rich and the poor were around each other, but still completely separate. Over time, as the empires grew, they did three major things that changed the game and created the Matrix. They created our money, they hid behind their corporations, and they created our society through their gospel of wealth, what we look at as philanthropy. They became central bankers of the majority of countries in the world, printing fake money and then controlling the banks that had access to that money. They created the corporations that created the products, the services, technology, and healthcare that steered our way of life and made us their paid servants. And they used their money giving it away to control how society worked, calling it philanthropy. They are almost at the top of the pyramid. I want you to really think about this. You have heard of the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Morgans, the Vanderbilts, the Lees, but this knowledge of them was from the 19th century into the early 20th century. After the Great Depression, their influence became hidden, and they became the unseen hand of the world. They are at the top of the pyramid, and they gain control of all industries in this world through their control of money. By controlling the money and who had access to it, it was then easy to yield their influence. They built massive corporations and funnel their money between them all. They take seats as board of directors of companies never being seen, while yielding their influence with assurance. So for instance, when the pandemic started, the new rules were synchronized. All of a sudden, all of the world was following these new rules that came from the top. There is not a part of this world that is not controlled by them. They fund industries through what they call venture capitalism, like with the Bill Gates or the former Steve Jobs. They want you to think that these men just built these inventions in their garage and then became the richest men in the world. That is a fairy tale. The reality is, think about the show Shark Tank, but on a bigger scale. That is how the world actually works. The real power sits at the top of the boards, and you never know of them because you're not supposed to. They create these huge corporations and make you believe that there is competition between them. But in reality, the competition is between just a few individuals. They show us this reality in their mind-controlling programs, which I will cover soon. But a big example is, when I was young, they made a cartoon called DuckTales, which showed the adventures of Scrooge McDuck. He controlled everything. His money was in everything. His only competition was the other richest duck, and they fought to be the richest. That is the reality of our world, but it does go deeper. Now, from this power, they controlled industries and changed them how they saw fit. Like I explained in my video about science. The science and medical industry was completely made and transformed by the father of modern medicine, John D. Rockefeller. We know him as the richest man in American history through his control of oil. But we have been trained to only think of oil as something we need for cars. But petrochemicals is a major industry that is involved in almost everything today, including our healthcare. The beginning of our drugs and medicines is all about the oil industry.